Yes, there is hope. St. Peter was well placed to write in today's second reading. Be ready always to satisfy everyone who asks you a reason of that hope that is within you. Hope is what makes life possible, what makes it meaningful, beautiful. This is not just wishful thinking, it is a simple, deep, and life giving reality that cannot be explained, argued about, or fabricated. It can only be experienced. Let me just recount a few stories from real life that help us understand what are the reasons for that hope which is within us. These are everyday experiences recounted by people who were in difficult situations. I call them the today stories. Today at 7 a.m., I woke up feeling ill, but decided I needed the money. So I went to work. At 3 p.m., I got laid off. On my drive home, I got a flat tire. When I went into the trunk for the spare, it was flat too. Everything was going wrong. When a man in a BMW pulled over, gave me a ride, we chatted, and then he offered me a job. I start tomorrow. Today, after I watched my dog get run over by a car, I sat on the side of the road holding him and crying. Just before the dog died, he licked the tears off my face. Today, at the age of 70, my grandfather graduated from college with a bachelor's degree. He's been a successful business owner most of his life. But he told me he earned his degree to fulfill a promise he had made to his mother before she lost her battle with cancer 50 years ago. Today, on our 50th wedding anniversary, she smiled at me and said, I only wish I had met you sooner. Today, after the funeral, I went back to my parents' empty house, the house I grew up in. As I gazed around in awe of all the great memories we made in it, I noticed an old photo of my parents in their 20s sitting on the coffee table. In my father's handwriting across the back of the photo was written, in this moment we were infinite. Today, my grandfather died. As I was crying and telling my grandmother how sorry I was, she said, let's stop being so sad and instead celebrate the 80 wonderful years he was alive, 60 of which he spent with me. Today, as my father, three brothers, two sisters stood around my mother's hospital bed, my mother uttered her last coherent words before she died. She simply said, I feel so loved right now with you around me. We should have gotten together like this more often. Today I was all dressed up and waiting on my blind date to arrive. He never showed up. It made me feel ugly. I thought he may have seen me from a distance and bailed. Then, as I left the restaurant alone, I heard a little girl ask her mum if I was a princess. It made me smile and feel happy to be me. Today, I was driving my grandfather to his doctor's appointment. I complained about hitting two red lights in a row. My grandfather chuckled and said, "You always complain about the red lights, but you never celebrate the green ones." Today, at a jazz club in San Francisco, I saw a man and a woman enjoying a drink together. The woman was a dwarf, and the man must have been 6 feet tall. Later in the evening, they went out into the dance floor. The man got down on his knees so they could slowly dance together. They danced the rest of the night. Today, I kissed my dad on the forehead as he passed away in a small hospital bed. About 5 seconds after he passed away, I realized this was the first time I had given him a kiss since I was a little boy. Today, in the cutest voice, my 8-year-old daughter asked me to start recycling. And I chuckled and asked, "Why?" She replied, "So you can help me save the planet." I chuckled again and asked, "And why do you want to save the planet?" She looked at me and said, "Because that's where I keep all my stuff." Today I interviewed a woman who is terminally ill. So I tried to delicately ask, "What is it like to wake up every morning and know that you are dying?" "Well," she responded, "what is it like to wake up every morning and pretend that you are not dying?" Today I was traveling and I met a refugee from Zimbabwe. He said he hadn't eaten anything in over 3 days and looked extremely skinny and unhealthy. Then my friend offered him the rest of the sandwich he was eating. And the first thing the man said was, "We can share it." Today I was talking to my grandmother about something important I needed to decide. I told her I didn't want to risk making any huge mistake. She looked at me and said, "Looking back on my life, there are so many mistakes I wish I had had the courage to make when I was your age." Today I swore to her that if she followed through with it, I would do the same. And she slowly pointed the gun away from her forehead and toward the floor. She handed it to me and cried in my arms for almost 3 hours. Today, my blind friend explained to me in vivid detail how beautiful his girlfriend was. Today, my mother passed away after a long battle with cancer. My best friend lives 2,000 miles away and called to comfort me. While on the phone, he asked, "What would you do if I showed up at your house and gave you the biggest hug in the world?" I replied, "Oh, I would surely smile." And then he rang the doorbell. You see, hope is faith in action. Hope is believing in life, in goodness, in beauty. in meaning. But hope does not stop in just belief or in faith. Hope is a free, courageous decision to commit ourselves to that infinite goodness that is already within us, that is already in those around us. It is knowing that right in the depths of pain and sadness, there is a precious treasure waiting to be found. Hope is making goodness and beauty the starting point and the point of arrival of our decisions, our understanding, our relationships. It is the way we see and judge and treat ourselves and others. Hope is knowing that when everything is said and done, love, goodness will still have the last word. And yes, that's why we firmly believe and courageously base our hope in a God who is love. And love is simply infinite goodness and endless beauty. God bless you.